In the chapter of Luke's Gospel 15 has three parables of mercy: the sheep that was found, the coin that was found, and the great parable of the prodigal son, or rather we can call a merciful father or the prodigal father. During this Lenten season, it would be nice for each one of us to open the chapter 15 of Luke's Gospel and to read the parable of the lost coin, the lost sheep, and the lost son. During the Lenten itinerary, the Gospel presents to us this very parable of the merciful father, a father with his two sons. The story highlights some features of this father, who is a man always ready to forgive and to hope against hope. How many times we have experienced when we lose things and we find, could be an article, could be a luggage in the airport during the transit, could be our own pets. When we find them, we are so happy. They were lost, and when they found, that gives us a tremendous joy and happiness. In the ancient world, the father-son relationship was a hierarchical one. Philo writes that parents belong to the superior class, while children occupy the lower position of junior. A father was not normally obligated to divide the inheritance during his lifetime. It was assumed that the younger son would stay at home and work like the older son and care for his father in his old age, which include giving his father a decent burial. However, the father becomes prodigal, breaks the stereotypical expectation, and gives his son the property. Thus, father acts in a way that is extravagant and reckless, and gave the son his portion of his inheritance in advance. This is opposed to the administering the necessary correction normally expected of him. The other aspect of prodigality of the father is his reaction and behavior to the return of his younger son. Having prodigally squandered that inheritance, so prodigally given to him by his father, the younger son, now penniless and anxious to return home. But we know from the Gospel, he ran to his son, threw his arms around him and kissed him. There is no exchange of words, no time given for an apology from the son, just warm embrace, a kiss and acceptance by the father. He was not the father who would shamefully expose himself by bringing public humiliation upon himself and his family in the eyes of the whole community. Rather disciplining his son, the father display tender affection and compassion, and then accompanying gifts, the best robe, a ring, the fattened calf, might appear excessive, but they are deemed appropriate by the father for a celebration, or without equal or precedence in the rest of the New Testament. By accepting his son back again, and in the way that he did, the Father's actions are even more prodigal than the Son. When the Father encounters the older son, when the older son drew near the house and immediately registered his displeasure, he became angry what had been given the younger son. The father breaks with social protocol, for he leaves the house and festivities of which he was host prematurely, in full view of the other members of the household. He is now outside the house, where his actions would also be readily seen and evident to all in the entire village and community. The older son then begins to berate his father in a public place, which would have not only been dishonoring and humiliating to the latter, but also to the entire household of which the father was the leading figure. As per the older son, he expected that his father would discipline his younger brother. But his father displayed patience, maintained a relationship by its patience and compassion is more important to the father than his own social standing, position, or winning the argument. He continues celebration and treats gently with patient tolerance towards his older son. Thus, he displays his prodigality. The parable of the prodigal son, we all can mirror the three characters. The younger son, who wants to strike out on his own and discover that his father was smarter than he thought all along. We have been the elder son who wonders why his brother keeps getting away with things that he would never do, and who thinks that his father's celebration means his father does not love him as much. And we have been the father who rejoices when a child returns home. God, who continues to love us even when we stray, even we think we are not loved. It is about God who wants a relationship with Him, restored, and who rejoices when it is. What makes the prodigal father to run? Compassion. It comes from the Greek word splanchnizomai, which means intestines, bowel, or abdomen. The father felt a sick feeling in his stomach when he saw his son and knew he was headed towards this unleashing of scorn. And so the scripture says, he ran. In the Middle Eastern, noblemen don't run in their culture. The word running is the Greek word that is a technical word for racing in a stadium. He sprinted. It's almost as if he is impatient. He can get there fast enough. According to Pope Benedict, this parable is very clear. It is not words that matter, but deeds. Deeds of conversion and faith. An adult faith does not follow the waves of fashion and the latest novelties. Faith is above all a personal, intimate encounter with Jesus, and to experience His closeness, His friendship, His love, Only in this way does one learn to know ever more, and to love and to follow Him evermore. May this happen to each one of us.